the best podcast on the planet.
Welcome to the best podcast on the planet. Seth, Dale, Holly, and a very special guest today, Ralph, who just happens to be Holly's husband. Congratulations. Welcome to the show, Ralph.
Yeah.
Hey, we're very glad you're here.
Thank you. Congratulations on the show or being married to Holly.
Yes.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely both. We on this program, we like to say that we're the uncommon show about common sense. And so you never know what you're going to get into. We could be talking about internet security 1 minute and talking about going out in your backyard and doing something that you probably shouldn't be doing the next minute. And you know what? It could actually all happen in the same show. And that's exactly what's going to happen today. Ralph joins us because we are going to be talking about, and nobody else knows this yet, we're actually going to be talking about data privacy. Hey, Ralph, you're in IT, right? So I can address you as the computer expert in this group today, right?
Expert is loosely based.
Okay, all right.
Term,
He's a geek squad.
First of all, is it data? Is it data or data? Which is the right way for me to be saying this?
It's data.
Data. I thought so too.
So.
Data was the character on Star Trek. Okay. So we're going to be talking about data security. But we want to establish that Ralph is an expert in his field. And we're going to refer back to the last podcast we did where we got talking about the splatter shield.
It's my fault. I'm so sorry.
Apparently, there was an issue of splatter in a room of the house where we all go to, and after the show was over, the conversation continued, and there was Ralph revealed something about himself that I wanted him to come on the show and share. And so, Ralph, what was it that you said that you did in the backyard of your own house? And I want to, first of all, how long ago was this?
I've erased it from my memory.
No, you haven't.
It was a year ago.
1 year ago.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
1 year ago. Oh, and by the way, Holly, thank you very much for wearing the Carol Baskin outfit. That's very attractive. We do appreciate that.
What?
Celebrating.
They don't know who Carol Baskin is, do you?
I was
you
the Tiger
cool cats
King
and
thing.
kittens.
And it's not a full.
Huh?
Like, it's not a full.
No,
leopard
it doesn't
shirt.
matter.
It's
It's a leopard belly shirt.
So, first of all, Ralph, her wearing that, does that, as her husband, does that make you a little nervous?
No, we don't have a meat grinder here, so
Okay.
I'll be okay.
All right. So let's get back to it. Ralph, what is it that you did
Well,
in your backyard a year ago?
You said I was an expert in my field. That kind of works out perfectly.
Okay.
I didn't catch that play in words until just a second ago.
Well,
Nicely done.
it was totally intended.
Well, that was back then when my wife and I were not as conscientious about our diet. And let's just say I ate like a slob.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to interject here just to help a little bit too. His family was in town, because that's a good point about this. So we were, family comes into town, you go to restaurants you haven't been to.
Okay.
And let's go splurge.
Sure.
So we had eaten something. I don't
Splurge.
remember.
That's a great word. Okay, so where did you guys go? You don't have to name the restaurant, but what type of restaurant was it?
I'm pretty sure it was a wing establishment.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there may have been
The night before.
consumption of a lot of hot, spicy wings.
And just a lot of.
A lot of them?
When my parents come into town, there are no bars. I just eat like a maniac.
Okay, sure. I understand. Dale and I have been in that circumstance. We've gone out and consumed mass quantities, more than we probably should have. Okay.
So the caveat to this is the perfect storm. Eat a lot of food, have a lot more people in the household at one time than normal, and we only have one bathroom.
Oh.
Bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
So we're renting this house. This should have been something we thought about. We're like, we'll be fine. It's just us and our, at the time she was like 2.
Right.
I was like, she was not even potty trained yet. We'll be fine.
Right. Okay.
But,
now it starts to make a little sense.
And at that time she was potty trained, and then we had 3 extra adults in the house. So, yeah.
And so we've loaded the cannon. and there's no place to take care of business, as we say, because it was, as we say in your native tongue, occupado.
Is that right? I usually just say bathroom. As
Okay.
what I need to go to.
El baño, as we say in the hood. El baño.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
So everybody's had those moments where it just hits you and you get like that cold sweat.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And your
Like-
skin pales. Yeah.
Like when you leave BD's Mongolian Grill? That kind?
Yeah, dude, that used to happen to us on a regular. Dale and I would go there, tank up for lunch, and we would look at each other and go, "No, it's about 45 minutes since we've eaten. We need to go. You go your way. I'm going home. We'll talk
you would have
later."
to stop at Bell.
That has happened.
Oh my
Probably why they
gosh.
condemned the building. Anyway, so continuing on with what happened, Ralphie.
Well, and this was in the morning, by the way. So,
good.
people are taking showers, all 5 of us.
Was
In
it
one
daylight?
bathroom at the same time. That's
It was daylight.
Oh, see, I got the impression it was dark outside.
No, it was daylight. It was in the morning.
Well, so I got that cold sweat. Oh no, face, where your eyebrows get up to your forehead.
Right.
And I went over to our only bathroom, and my dad was in there.
yeah.
And I was pacing back and forth. And now this is where enter Holly into the story, because I'm
So,
You're desperate.
yeah,
That's bad.
his sister and I were sitting in the living room kind of watching this, and it wasn't funny at this time. We were more concerned because he's pacing. And so, I'm figuring, I was pretty sure he'd been in the shower for a while. So I'm like, he'll be out soon. No big deal. And I'm like, I don't think I realized the level that Ralphie
no,
was
you
at.
did not.
So,
You did not understand.
and so we started to kind of, Maria, his sister, and I started looking at each other like, what is wrong? Because he starts making noises, like groans as he's walking around the house.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this isn't going to end well. And so I told Maria, I was like, hey, text your dad and see,
Sure, 'cause
just let him know that he needs to go. So,
Because
and
we
so
all
she
carry our
did.
phones into the bathroom. We know that. That it does happen. That's the truth.
Yeah, and so she did, and no response, and still no response. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So I think because it was his dad, he didn't want to knock on the door,
Right.
thinking,
Right.
he might have been in the middle of something,
Right.
not really knowing, just trying to be polite. And it just starts escalating, and the groans and the moans start getting worse, and
The labor
you
pains.
start realizing. And his sister and I are kind of like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And I'm like, he's gonna do it in his pants. Like, what are we gonna do here?
always
and
an
I'm
option.
thinking,
He
I'm such
does
a
the laundry.
practical
What are you worried
person.
about?
This is before that. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to clean that up, and I didn't want to clean that
I already
up. And
have
so I'm
one
like,
baby in the house that I got to scoop up after.
So I said, go outside, just go, because. So I told him to, because I was like, what else do you do? Like,
This is a good
he was
point.
making the weirdest noises, and I was scared, and I didn't want it in my house. So
Bathroom or the kitchen sink's not an option.
no. So I said, just go outside if you have to. We have a big backyard.
And
I don't know.
so,
And,
did you dig a hole?
So there's only one spot in our backyard where I could have went where nobody could have seen me.
Right.
It was kind of around the back against the fence. And I only say that because the next door neighbor's house, I mean, is right. It's like 10 feet away. But there was
Yeah.
Hey, Ralph, how you doing? Oh boy.
Well, at the time
it's abandoned.
so nobody's living there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went and there's a little spot without any grass, and I thought, all right, this will be easy to clean up.
Cover up the evidence.
And I just did the old football papa squat.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And
So,
Okay, you know what's funny about this though? I'm not even kidding you. 10 seconds after he walked out the door, and I'm looking at Maria like, he's gonna do this. Oh my gosh! Like, what do we do? 10 seconds. His mom walked out of the bathroom. We thought it was his dad. It was his mom, and we're like, oh my gosh. And so I go outside, like, oh my gosh, the bathroom's open. You don't have to poop in the backyard.
you said this out loud?
Well, not the full thing. I came outside like, your mom is out of the bathroom, and I didn't see him because it was around the corner apparently where he was at, and he said, "Don't come back here."
Oh no! He's
in mid-transit.
He said, "Too late."
Oh, Ralph turned off his camera.
We lost Lau.
We lost Ralph.
Oh, it's okay.
He'll come back. There he is.
Oh, there he is.
So,
but yeah, he said too late, and it's So he's like, "Don't come back here, too late," and then it is what it is. And so I was like, "Okay, do you need anything?"
No, I got my T-shirt. I'm fine.
So
okay,
that was that. And
so do you guys let your dog in the backyard?
Yes.
Huh? So what was your dog's reaction? It's like,
did you bury
he
it?
cleaned it up.
My head.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he cleaned it up before. Right afterwards.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, Ralph.
But Ralph, tell him where you put it.
Oh.
So I would have just buried it.
Yeah, just bury it.
Okay, so right behind our backyard, there was is a little sliver of land, I guess, that's owned by the city. So it was really overgrown, and it was just trash land. So
it's like an alley. I don't know.
So I grabbed a shovel and
flung it.
I just gave that thing a toss.
Oh.
No, we're not done. The best part,
it's not done.
The best part about that is the next week the city decided, let's go clean up that alley.
And they mowed it with an industrial lawnmower, like a commercial. I went back there and I'm like, hey, I can see back to our neighbors. Oh.
It's a spreader, not just a mower.
So,
is there anything growing back there now?
Actually, there's a forest back there now.
Well, there is a forest. That was because that was a year ago. But the funniest part about that is not long after that, because that's in the middle of the summer, our neighbors behind us decided to plant a garden. And it's doing very well.
I wonder why. It's well fertilized. Yeah, that soil back there is rich. That's some good soil.
The story would have been funnier if it was Holly that happened to Holly instead.
Oh, no.
Yes, it would have.
Yeah.
You know, Wings will do it to you every time, though, man. Wings will do it to you. Buddy and I we had Wings. It was another friend of mine. I was down in Florida buying a car, of all things, and we had gone to lunch. We had taken care of the transaction, had a great lunch, and I gave him the check, right, for the car. So he said, well, do you mind if we run by the bank and I can deposit it? It's just right around the corner. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's great. So he runs into the bank. I'm sitting in the car waiting, and I start feeling that that same gurgle. I'm like,
that cold sweat.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm a little uncomfortable, but I think he'll be right out in just a couple minutes. We'll be fine. A couple minutes go by, and he's not back out, and it becomes a little more urgent, you know, and it's like, okay, all right. Nope, I'm going to have to. So I go into the bank, and there's somebody heading for the bathroom, and I just cut him off. I'm like, nope. I got it. Now, here's the thing. It's a tiny little lobby. It's a little tiny branch. It's not a great big bank. It's just a little neighborhood branch. And so literally it's the teller windows, and the door right next to the teller windows was the men's bathroom. And I'm trying to keep it low key. But there are times when you
just
what's
can't.
happening is announced, if you know what I'm saying. And I was like, okay. And took care of business, right? Everything was fine, but it was odoriferous. violently, and it was heinous. It was just diabolical is actually probably the right term.
You come out, did anybody ask you if you were a professional trombone player?
No.
That walk of shame.
So, no, not me. I'm not ashamed. I open that door. How you guys doing? I walk out, but I closed the door, and the person that I butted in front of started to go in there, and I went, I wouldn't. I'm just saying I wouldn't if I were you. And I went right back out to the car, and my friend came out, and he said, I want you to know that 2 or 3 of the tellers were laughing at it. I'm like, good. I'm glad I could help them make their day.
Oh,
So,
man.
buddy, Dale has had experiences like that.
Oh, I did. Is
Yeah.
there one specific? How do
No,
you know
well,
about
I
this?
don't know about. I don't know, but there's another
Okay.
person that
No,
I
no.
know of that will remain nameless. Okay, he told me this in confidence. He was coming back from Orlando, and there is an incredibly beautiful neighborhood in Orlando called Celebration, and it's a home like a neighborhood that was designed and built mostly by Disney, and there are some really gorgeous homes in this
Looks
area.
like a movie set. It
Yeah.
looks like it's
Yeah,
perfect, like
yeah.
a movie set.
It looks fake. It's weird.
It
but
does.
it's real.
It does look like it's a
Yeah.
fake, but it's a real community.
Like the Truman Show or something. It's weird.
And exactly. And he admitted to me that at one point he had this situation happen to him and took care of business in the front yard of one of those people's houses.
No way.
And used a T-shirt to take care of the evidence. But as he was right in the middle of taking care of the situation, and you all know once the train leaves the station, there's no stopping. The security lights on the house came on and illuminated the whole place. And he's sitting there in the front yard like the neighbor's dog, like, okay.
Oh, man.
Okay. Yeah, and at the time he was a sales professional in the neighborhood. That's why when he said this, I was dying laughing. I'm like, "You really did this?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm not proud of it, but yeah, I really did."
Yeah, one of the last plane flights I was on, I guess someone got up and right before we landed, went to the bathroom, and it'd be at Southwest Airlines. They called them out, like they came out. They got it. The gentleman that was in the bathroom, he could have waited till we landed, and it's like, and there's been a whole plane of crap.
Oh, that is. But the problem of it is now that we've shared these stories, I don't know how to transition into the serious subject that I was about to talk about. Because I don't.
So we do a podcast on pooping. I mean, we just did a whole podcast on pooping.
I know. I feel like this is all my fault.
We'll just
so
call it the
it's
Poopcast.
okay.
It is Holly's fault because you're just going to have to go back to the previous podcast, the one we did just before this one, and see, because we were on a roll. We were having a good conversation, and Holly just took it sideways, just
I know, I'm so
completely
sorry.
derailed the
I did
whole
not
program.
mean to. It just happened that way. And just to clarify, when I was talking about that, I was thinking about a public restroom, but it could have been a home restroom too. But I was not picturing my house bathroom.
Oh.
But it is something I think about because that's gross.
Yeah.
And just clarify.
just to clarify, if you're curious, head on over to the previous podcast. Okay, so we're going to do another podcast. We're not going to do this one, all right? But here's something I want you to think about: is your information that you put online, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of the social media, is it secure and private? And do you have a reasonable expectation for it to be private? Speaking of doing all of these things that should be done in private, but are clearly done in public, what do you think? Now, Ralph, like we mentioned, not only is he an outdoorsman of sorts, but he is an IT professional. I can call you an IT professional, right?
Sure.
Okay. Doesn't mean it's true. I can call you anything. But
his business card says BM/IT professional.
Sure. I'm sure a well-rounded individual. So let me just start with Holly and Dale. Do you think that the information that you put online, do you have the expectation for it to be private?
Something like a Facebook, if you put it out there, it's not going to be private. You might as well just. I mean, people think they got their page locked down, but there's ways people can see their stuff. So. Even your employers will start even more and more to check out your Facebook and Instagram.
Yep. And I'm thinking more in the line of third party, getting hold of your information about where you live, what your job is, your demographic, how old you are, et cetera, what your shopping interests are, the data that is on you that kind of explains who you are as a person. Is that private and safe from third party, for lack of a better word, harvesters?
No. No, not at all. Like, with all the things going on right now, no, not at all. With the way social media sites share your information in order to aim ads at you.
Mm-hmm.
And they admit that, and there's court cases and stuff going on right now about it. It's no, there's no reason to expect that, and there's no legislation to protect you, so there's no reason to expect that.
Okay, so Mr. Ralph, being in the computer field, what do you think? Is it private? Do we have a right to expect it to be private?
So I heard once somebody say, I can speak English. I heard somebody say one time, if the app and platform is free, then you are the product. That's pretty scary. On top of that, I guess we're talking about two different types of data. You're talking about what it's called PII, personal identifiable information, your name, your address, the type of car you drive, that stuff that can really single you out in society. I can't imagine why you would ever put anything like that on the internet at all. Now, if it has to do,
but some people do,
for sure.
But see, like the car you drive. Hey, man, and I'm guilty of this. When I bought my new car, I took a picture of my old busted jalopy and a picture of my new car, and I sent it out to friends. I said, "Old and busted, new hotness." Okay, so I sent that out via Facebook Messenger or some. That's out there now. Yeah. Now, whoever wants to access that information knows that I drive that particular kind of car, and that says a lot about your personality. Mm-hmm. You know.
Well, I was at the doctor's last week. I had my annual physical or whatever, and he had just mentioned in passing that when they did my blood work, he said the word "you're dehydrated" a little bit, according to blood work. I didn't say the word dehydrated ever again. I go to Facebook later. Guess what's popping up? Ads for the little packets you can put in your water to hydrate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Am I crazy?
So here's the thing that you probably already know. If you have the Facebook app on your phone and you've signed in, right, you use it, but then you close it, you shut the app, but you never log out, Facebook is constantly running in the background. And Facebook captures information of what you're shopping for. It captures all of all the things that you're doing on other apps. It captures that information and uses it. So this is a wonderful conversation. We don't have enough time to really delve into it deeply. So before we do our next podcast, here is your assignment. There is a documentary on Netflix, if you can get a hold of it, called, I believe it's Hacked. And it's all about the Cambridge Analytica scandal with Facebook. And it is a fascinating look at what is happening with our data. Now, just to make the long story short, Cambridge Analytica used all of this information to target political ads for the Trump administration in the 2016 election and for the British government when they were going through Brexit. And it was the pro-leave the EU side of the controversy, side of the argument. They used all of their information to develop specifically targeted types of ads to specific groups of people to help to convince them, A, to vote for Trump, and B, if you were in Britain, to vote for leaving the EU, the European Union. It is a fascinating documentary. You need to watch it with a grain of salt because it is very much slanted in a liberal, anti-conservative, anti-type of format. But there's a lot of it that you can look at and go, okay, this makes sense. Like with everything that you watch, you got to watch it. Don't just buy into it wholesale. You got to pay attention to what's going on and use your own mind to filter out the garbage, that which you believe and that which you don't. So let's do that. Let's watch that documentary, and then we'll talk about it. Even if you don't watch the documentary, we're going to talk more in our next podcast about data security and privacy. The question is, do we have a reasonable expectation that our information should be private? And if it's not private, what should happen? Should there be laws that should keep it private, or should we have the option to opt out of having our information private or public, or should we have the opportunity to be paid if they want to use our information. You want to use my information? Make with the green, baby. Make with the green.
I like that idea.
Of course.
Sorry.
That's the American way. Let's capitalize on it. All right. So, Ralph, thank you for being so open and honest and
transparent.
Yeah. And for, just dropping all that information on us for this particular podcast. It was enlightening.
Well, ironically, both themes have to do with things you shouldn't do in public. So
Exactly right. If you have a subject that you would like us to talk about on this podcast, you know what to do. Send it to us at sethmilamedia@gmail.com. Until we talk next time, let's do some thinking, about data. What do we say it was? Data or data? I keep forgetting.
Data.
What's the data you? Data security. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll talk to you again next time on the best podcast on the planet. See ya.